naturaleza nos está avisando. Día a día vemos los impactos del cambio climático en esta, como diría el conocido colega, nuestra única nave espacial, la nave espacial de la especie humana. Para hablar sobre el tema, damos la bienvenida al señor Yalchin Rafiyev, Viceministro de Relaciones Exteriores de la República de Azerbaiyán y negociador jefe de la 29ª sesión de la Conferencia de las Naciones Unidas sobre el Cambio Climático, la COP29. La conferencia se celebró en Bakú, la capital azerí, entre el 11 y el 22 de noviembre del año 2024. Fue el suceso más grande organizado por Azerbaiyán y fue el primero de su tipo en la región euroasiática. Un verdadero reto para el hermano país y su bella capital situada en las costas del mar Caspio. Señor Rafiyev, como negociador jefe de la cumbre, ¿puede resumirnos los acuerdos más significativos alcanzados por esta?
Thank you very much, first of all, for the invitation to this program and for this opportunity. In order to assess the successes of COP29, we need to see a wider context that the COP29 took place. I mean, there were elections in more than 60 countries, where at some cases the results of elections changed the political landscape in those countries, and some political powers having skeptical views to the environment and climate change came to power. And also take into account that climate change itself is a quite politicized topic among many international stakeholders. When it comes to having an agreement on climate finance, further aggravated the conditions that we engaged in negotiations. But I would say the most important success of COP29 was the agreement on climate finance, which we call Baku Climate Finance Goal of $300 billion, which according to the Paris Agreement, obligations coming from Paris Agreement, the developed countries are now requested to pay this amount to the developing countries for funding their climate-related actions. This 300 billion was a tripling of the previous goal of 100 billion, but we need to also take into account that the previous goal was not a negotiated outcome, but rather a declarative target that the countries agreed in Copenhagen during the COP in Copenhagen. Therefore, Baku's achievement of having 300 billion as a negotiated outcome of this multilateral process of 198 parties was a clearly historical breakthrough agreement. But besides Baku Climate Finance Goal, there was some more important achievements, including 10 years of negotiations on Article 6 of Paris Agreement. Operationalization of Article 6 finally led to its successful outcome in Baku. We managed to agree on Article 6 negotiations and agreed on a decision on Article 6 operationalization on Paris Rulebook. There was another achievement that we had a significant success in Baku, which was Loss and Damage Fund to be up and running, to be operationalized. The executive director of the fund was appointed in Baku. The host country agreement has been signed in Baku, and the temporary host country arrangements with World Bank agreed. So it means this, especially these three important outcomes, are mostly a breakthrough. They are considered as breakthrough agreements. But there were some more important achievements, including on the adaptation side, that we agreed on Baku Adaptation Roadmap, Baku Work Program for Indigenous People. We agreed on Baku Adaptation Dialogues to be taken place in every COP. We consider them as also important achievements, especially for the global south, for the developing countries, since these countries are the most vulnerable for climate change and they need additional means of implementation to be available for them to implement their climate-related ambitions.
Un papel fundamental en estos esfuerzos mundiales lo constituye el financiamiento de los países a la lucha por el cambio climático. ¿Qué avances se lograron en la COP29 con respecto a los financiamientos y cómo esto debe impactar en las naciones en desarrollo.
As I outlined in the question, in my response to the first question, of course, Baku Climate Finance Goal was an important achievement, $300 billion for the developing countries. But in this decision, there was also an important additional advancement, which is 1.3 trillion. We have agreed on Baku to Belém roadmap to be agreed until Belém by two presidencies, COP29 and COP30, working together, drafting a roadmap to be submitted for Belém COP30, which will be clearly outlining how to scale up the climate finance to 1.3 trillion in the next 10 years. That was one of the significant achievements, but at the same time, Baku Climate Finance Goal clearly outlined the qualitative elements on how to reach this amount, for whom, which countries are eligible, how to mobilize these resources, not only from the public sector, but also from the private sector and multilateral development banks. Another achievement on climate finance was we have worked hard as COP29 presidency throughout the last year to encourage the multilateral development banks also to scale up their finance for climate action. And they have announced in Baku at the COP29 that they will allocate 170 billion annually for climate finance, 120 of it to be for the developing countries, for the projects in developing countries. That was a significant increase from the previous goal, even more than doubling this amount. We consider it also quite important. And as I mentioned, that loss and damage fund to be operational, and Article 6 Paris rule book, according to our estimation and according to the estimation of international experts, if we make this process available, operational, the Article 6 and international carbon market, the amount that the developing countries can benefit from this market could reach to 1 trillion by 2050. This will be, of course, additional significant contribution for them to finance their climate-related actions.
¿Cómo resumiría usted los principales desafíos por abordar en la próxima cumbre COP30?
COP30, we believe that COP30 will be yet another successful COP. Our Brazilian colleagues are working hard to have a successful COP to be organized in Belém, and we are sure that they will do it. We stand ready, and we expressed it quite openly that we will be standing with them. We will support Brazilian colleagues to achieve successful results and to build on the success of the previous COPs. COP28 was also a very successful COP with its outcome of global stocktake, which was built upon by COP29 with additional important achievements of means of implementation. And we believe that next COP, as it is expected to be more adaptation-prone COP, will have significant results as a result of negotiation process. The main outcomes that are expected at COP30 as Brazilian presidency, incoming presidency as announced, will be just transition work program to be agreed, the global goal on adaptation and its indicators to be agreed, and of course to make as much progress as possible on the global GST dialogue. These are the areas that COP30 are expected to deliver, but mainly another significant milestone that we could reach at COP30 will be the roadmap that I have referred to on Baku to Belém on 1.3 trillion that we are working jointly with our COP30 presidency colleagues to be submitted to COP30, which will be significant advancement for the whole world, for the humankind, in terms of identifying clearly how we are going to scale up climate finance to 1.3 trillion in the next decade.
¿Puede hablarme del papel de Cuba en la cumbre de Bakú y en general en los procesos vinculados a las COP?
Cuba is an important player in the whole multilateral diplomatic processes across the UN system, and of course COP29 was not an exclusion. Cuba, besides its individual role, also was carrying an important role of the chair presidency of the G77 plus China group, and as part of the like-minded developing countries group, AOSIS, a small island developing states group, and of course as a chair of G77 and China group, Cuba played quite a significant role in achieving consensual decisions in Baku. But besides that, as we have very good bilateral relationship between Azerbaijan and Cuba, Cuba's institutional memory in the negotiation processes across all COPs helped us a lot using our bilateral cooperation channels to build the capacity of our team to deal with the negotiation process, but also to contribute to the process of decision making, a consensus building process. We are thankful for that to the Cuban government. We have excellent bilateral relationship. We are brotherly countries, and the COP29 was yet another manifestation of practically demonstrating this brotherhood and friendship.
Bueno, ¿quiere agregar algo más?
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Muchísimas gracias a usted, viceministro, y lo esperamos de nuevo en Cuba y en nuestro canal.
Thank you very much again for this opportunity, and wish you good luck in your endeavors.